What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news and the buzziest topics and sometimes the most historical events with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man. It's mid-October of 2022. That's 2.5 months left before the end of the year.
Yeah.
2.5 fucking months.
The crazy thing is that this year will be bookended by a very, very big event in your life, getting married, right?
Yes, correct.
Plus the World Cup as well, right?
Yes, correct.
I had to conflate those two very, very different issues.
When is the World Cup starting? When is the World Cup starting?
I think November towards December, right?
So it's going to be during my wedding.
I believe so, yeah.
Or rather, my wedding will be during the World Cup.
World Cup.
But I mean, speaking of that shit, like I just saw an article today saying that, I think from Ong Yi Kang saying that, okay, we will not rule out mask mandates and vaccine differentiated measures, which made me go like, oh my God, don't tell me that this shit is going to be happening again.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened in 2021, no? That's what happened in 2021. At the start of the year, things were shit, things got a lot better, but by the end of the year, it was shit again.
Yeah. It's
I
think the 11,000 cases shocked everybody. Right.
I think, and they're saying like mid-November will spike, right? 15,000. And my wedding is early December. So
yeah.
So I mean, I already told my fiance like, what?
No, in case you need to know, the World Cup starts 21st November and goes all the way till 18th December.
So that means it'll be like quarterfinals around my wedding.
Actually, it's quite cool. Then like, I mean, you could organize parties around those dates that are not only celebrating your wedding, but also celebrating the World Cup and all, right?
It's in Qatar, right?
Yeah,
so the time difference will be like 4 hours.
Somewhere there, yeah.
Maybe dinner time, I'll just have one screen showing the game.
No. Most of the game times will be either 11 p.m. or 3 a.m. Singapore time.
Oh, is it? But it's 4 hours behind, what?
Yeah, but this I'm talking about during the period of your wedding when we get towards the round of 16 and all. Of course, before that there are matches at like 6 p.m. and all that, but towards the knockout rounds it's 11 p.m. or 3 a.m.
That means they'll be playing at 11 p.m. in Qatar. Is it because of the weather? Is it because during the day it's like too hot or something?
Don't know, man. It's an interesting question. Or are they giving me the correct times? I'm not sure. Maybe we gotta figure that out.
3 a.m. Singapore time is like 11 p.m. Dubai time. Qatar times, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's really the opening match is 21st November at midnight. Yeah.
Oh shit! Is it midnight our time lah?
Yeah, that's right.
So that means it's 8 p.m. lah, which sounds realistic lah.
Yeah. So yeah. Now it's 5 hours behind us.
Oh, 5 hours. Okay lah. 7.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. But yeah,
yes.
So that's this is not the usual kind of year-end festivities for yourself personally, nor for everyone as well. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. But yeah, it's gonna be a 2022 wrap. But how's your mid-October weekend, man?
Okay, like there was a lot of football this weekend, a lot of big matches.
Liverpool,
Man City. There was the El Clasico. There was Man United and Ronaldo versus Man U. And,
exactly.
I know everyone's just watching Man U just for the Ronaldo drama more than anything else. Like what would they? Honestly, whether they'll play him and everything. Yeah.
Honestly, it's damn sad to watch Ronaldo now, because you can see like he's frustrated. He's nowhere near his best. He's rusty, and it's just like, walao, this is one of the goats, no.
Yeah, and they're all goats. Don't forget, they're all playing towards the World Cup. They know that Ronaldo and Messi know that it's their last chance for World Cup glory, right? So they need the playing time to to get in form and everything. So it's it's quite sad to see all this happening.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was just, and you just see it's just that hopefully things pick up lah. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But the World Cup will be exciting. World Cup will be exciting.
Be interesting to say the least. But
cool, man.
other than that, do we have anything to plug this time?
I think since we are kind of back from a long break, it would be good if you could just share this podcast with someone who may not have listened to it for a while, because we're definitely not in decline, and we're gonna keep cranking these out, lah.
Yeah, cranking.
Yeah, and already past 2,000.
Yes.
So we're happy about that.
Yeah, 2,000 people discussing topics on Reddit. That's awesome. But speaking of going to long term, I mean, our first topic is about a very long-standing case, right? A long-standing police case that maybe has come to some kind of closure for the people involved, but it's still triggering a lot of responses online. And what is this? This case?
It is the latest news around one of two suspects in the case of the murder of Felicia Teo.
Not murder yet. Yeah, I mean it's not.
The death.
It's not a murder. Yeah, the missing persons case.
Missing persons case. Felicia Teo. Yes, correct. It's not murder, and we'll get into the weeds of that, lah. Because I think Felicia Teo and her unfortunate case has first appeared in the news like 2020 maybe. Then 2021 December. There was news. Yeah, December 2020. Then 2021 there was more news. And the latest announcement that just came like 2 days, like on 2 days, 3 days ago, 14th October, was around one of the two suspects. He's still a suspect, right?
Yeah.
He's still a suspect.
Yeah, he's been discharged but not amounting to an acquittal, which is something we'll get into in a bit, lah. Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, why I wanted to talk about this is because I admittedly haven't gone deep into the topic, like focused. I read the news here and there, but so I went deep, and I assume you did too. But holy shit, man, this is chilling. This is some chilling shit.
Yeah, I think for me it's like I think this came to our radars like quite a while back already, right? But there wasn't enough information out there that warranted us like really talking about it. But I think at this point, because there's it's a point in the case where there is a bit of closure, I think it's worth talking about and remembering that we watch true crime series on Netflix, Dahmer and all that. But they are very scary stories and quite psychopathic tendencies, even in our midst in Singapore, right? Amongst people in Singapore. And it's a cautionary tale about who the company that you hang out with as well, right?
Yeah. So maybe to give like a high level overview of this case that started in 2007 lah. So 2007, Felicia Teo.
Actually, why you don't just say 2007? How come you say 2007? It's
20 is 2007. That's 4 syllables. 2002. That's 5 syllables. 4 syllables versus 5 syllables.
You never hear people saying. You never hear people saying 2007.
God, why?
Never. I mean, only Americans when they say when they count in thousands, they don't count in thousands. They count like 1900. It's $1,900.
But 2019, didn't you say 2019?
Yeah. I say 2019 because I think that's normal. Because 19 is like one figure by itself, one word by itself, right?
Yeah.
But like 2007 is made out of 2007. It's not made out of 20 and then 07, right?
That's what I said. Is it 2007?
Yeah, you said 2007, like 007, that kind of thing. So that to me is weird because people say 2007, usually.
No, because I think what happened, why maybe you remember that people said 2007 was because when we were living through it, it was, the year 2000. Oh, the year 2001, right. 2002, blah, blah, blah. But then now we are at the stage where it's 20 and something. So retroactively looking back, I'll say 2007.
Also,
2007.
That means your mind has adjusted to the Gen Y lingo of it already.
So you would say 2007?
I would still say 2002, 2001. Yeah.
Wake up with the times, Terrence.
9/11 happened in 2001. Everyone says 2001.
No lah, where got everyone says 2000? I guarantee you got a lot of people say 2001.
Everyone above the age of who lived through the 2000s with some conscience.
So you saying I didn't live through with conscience, is it? Nonsense.
No, I'm just saying that you're trying very hard to sound like a Gen Y.
No, it's just a natural thing. See, Terrence, sometimes you have to let go. You have to let go of the past. You have to let go of the past.
It's not natural at all.
Of course, it's natural. Okay. I guarantee you that even amongst our listeners, it'll be polarized. It'll be half. I would say more people say 2007 than 2007.
Let's run a poll. If you're listening to this and you have a Reddit account, please comment and tell us you say 2007 or say 2007. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm very interested to know.
We will post a poll on Reddit and on Instagram. Yeah, so whichever platform you're on, if you're on both, just vote. Okay, so just go check it out. By the time you're listening to this, it might already be out. So go check it out. Okay. Okay. So
interesting.
So back in 2007/2007, Felicia Teo allegedly left her house in Bras Basah to join two friends in one of their houses at Marine Terrace. It was a HDB flat. So that's where, they were drinking and up till maybe last year or early this year when one of those two individuals, his name is Daniel.
Ahmad Daniel.
Yeah. Ahmad
Daniel Muhammad Rafi,
was brought into custody. Up until then, for 13 years, all the public and the police knew was that she left her place. There was CCTV footage of her entering the lift with those two men. But
entering the place, right? Yeah.
Entering the lift.
Entering the lift of the block where one of the men lived there, right?
Yeah, correct. But there was no CCTV footage of her leaving. So the next day, she was apparently supposed to be at a friend's wedding. She didn't show up. And by the third day, her parents reported her as missing. So after that, there was a lot of effort to find her. It became a police case. There was news out then already about this missing person. And the searches went on. And as you can imagine, there were a lot of rumors. There was a lot of gossip that the family had to deal with. I think the mom even went to JB to pass out flyers to see whether there was any instance or anyone who saw her.
Yeah.
But it yielded nothing. So up till then, and at that point when Ahmad and Mr. Ragil, the second person there, Mr. Ragil, when they were questioned, they themselves said that they weren't aware and that Ms. Teo left their house. That's all they said. And from 2007 to 2020, the police were regularly reviewing the case because apparently this is a process that happens. For missing persons cases, they will regularly review it. In July 2020, the case was referred to the Criminal Investigation Department, so CID, and that's when there was a breakthrough because they found some new leads. They found some belongings belonging to Ms. Teo in possession of by Daniel Ahmad. And December 15, 2020, Ahmad was arrested. He was charged with murder and he was accused of working together with Mr. Ragil to murder Ms. Teo. Then, this June, he was given a discharge not amounting to an acquittal for the murder charge. So, Terrence, what does that mean? Given a discharge not amounting to an acquittal?
From what I understand of what the judge wrote is that if you're acquitted, it means that you can never be tried again for this same crime, even if new evidence comes up or what, right? An acquittal is almost a statement that is a very it's a final statement on the judgment that you are not guilty at all. There's no way you're guilty, and you cannot be tried again because if not, it's double jeopardy. I think the term is double jeopardy, right? Where you keep getting tried for the same case even if you get acquitted. So once you're acquitted, that's done. But a discharge amounting to acquittal is kind of from what my understanding of the layman understanding of it is that it's basically no evidence could be found to really say that you're guilty or to charge you for murder. But if there's evidence that comes up, you can be tried again for this same crime because I think the judge was saying that it's very clearly obvious that Ahmad Daniel was involved in the disappearance of Felicia Teo. They just can't say that she that he murdered her or anything like that. But he was involved in the disposal of the body and the disappearance. So that's why they still need to make it a possibility that if there's new evidence, he can be tried again.
Yeah. And I mean, there was also 6 charges in addition to the murder charge that was that Ahmad Daniel and Ragil were accused, which was disposing the body, giving false info, and appropriating some of Felicia Teo's belongings. So in July 2022, Ahmad returned to court and he pleaded guilty to the charges. Then that was pushed back to August, and then again pushed back to October. So in October, he pled guilty and he was given 26 months imprisonment for abandoning Teo's body, stealing her belongings and giving false evidence. So that is going to take into account the 13 months already that he has spent, I think, in remand. So at the end of the day, it's a 26-month imprisonment for his offenses, which he pleaded guilty to. And that's where I think it has become a bit polarizing online, and I can imagine even offline. But like when I first heard it, it's only 26 months for what he did, which is allegedly him and the other dude. They woke up in the morning, they found her dead in the house. They put her in between 2 mattresses and put her in a box. Got a taxi, went to Punggol, dug a hole, put the body there, poured kerosene, lit a fire. And then when the fire died out, they covered it up.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, like, okay, so when you were reading through this, were you already aware of the facts of this before today?
No.
Have you been reading up and diving deep?
No, I've been following the case, when it's in the news and reading up, like, even people's speculation about what happened and all that. But I always knew that you would never really know until the case, until he's tried and a verdict has been reached, because that's when the details start coming out. So only with this, now the details are out already,
Yeah.
And I think just the crazy thing is, a lot of people, the reactions are that he's only getting 26 months for what he did, and but the reality is that the lack of evidence. The lack of any kind of evidence, even the skull fragment that was found in the place where he said that they buried her body and all, right? Not say buried, like they disposed of her body. I think buried is too nice word that to use to describe what they did to her body, even the skull fragment they found there, they could only, I think, even with DNA testing in the US, they could only say that it is probably her skull, So there's literally almost nothing left. And I think because of Singapore's humidity and everything, even the skull fragments and all that probably have decomposed a lot over time. And the fact that they burned the body as well, So even the DNA test can't be 100% sure of it, but seems like it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just now it ends up being one of those cases where it's just basically you're going off what he said happened, and the reality is that if he sticks to his story, like how he's kept quiet, how they've kept steadfastly quiet for the last 13 years, or at least until they got caught in 2020, right? There you can't really. I don't think you'll be able to find more evidence to reach another verdict,
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Reading this, first of all, it was fucking chilling, I think the details of what they actually did this morning only came out in the past few months, right?
Yeah, I think from this conviction and all that, and then this when the details really started coming out, yeah.
And I mean, I honestly was shocked to read it to the point where I still feel a little bit of like, fuck, this is so calculated. I mean, okay, I wouldn't say calculated. The fact that for 13 years, it was. Can you imagine they were living with that? So the other person, Mr. Ragli, is still at large.
He's Indonesian.
He's believed to be in Indonesia and whatnot, but he's still at large. Yeah. But this guy, Ahmad, was working at Razer up till 2020. And on Reddit, you can see some comments from people saying, yeah, I've met the dude, he seems pretty chill. I work with the guy, he seems pretty chill. And it just makes you think like, oh my God, like it just feels so surreal hearing that this actually happened in Singapore, which makes me think like, if it wasn't for what I hear about him having the lens, a camera lens from Felicia Teo's camera and the laptop, this probably would have gone like under the radar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of things to unpack in what you just said as well. I think aside from the fact that there are people who worked with him and know him and could not possibly believe that he was like that. Because you and I, we know someone who personally worked with this guy as well, right? Ahmad Daniel. And he said the exact same thing, that he could not believe the news. I think apparently Ahmad Daniel also got married in the last 13 years. And is seems like a very happy, happily wedded man and all that. So I think even some of the chatter on the chatter online was like, wow, how you wonder if his wife ever knew that there was this deep dark secret that he was hiding as well for all these years, lah. And even in his defense, I think his defense attorneys were saying that the wife and the family were going through under a lot of stress, lah, from all this happened, because they had nothing to do with the disappearance of Felicia Teo, lah, right? But this story has probably invaded their lives and taken over everything they know about their partner or their son or whatever, lah, So yeah, you can imagine, although it's quite a cold, calculated and scary thing that he did. But even his family, we don't know the extent to which of what they know what he did, lah, and it's quite. But let's say they didn't know, you just imagine that you can imagine that he kept the secret quiet all these years, lah, right? Even to close friends and family. It must be quite traumatic, to go through something like that. Yeah, to discover the person you're married to has this has this big dark secret hanging over his head, lah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like the judge who gave the verdict of giving a discharge not amounting to acquittal kind of explained along the lines of what you said, like that there is still evidence that might be uncovered, and there's no way that he can acquit him because there's still a possibility that he may have been involved in the murder, right? But just reading the defense and the actual incidents, they consumed ecstasy as well, right? The three of them. So I was just thinking like, oh my God, that night basically started out, here are three friends. Two of them comes over to one of their houses. They drink, they smoke, they have some ecstasy, and whatever happens, by the morning, one of them is dead. So the two of them were probably thinking like, oh fuck, if we report the death, they are going to do a post-mortem and find drugs, which would implicate them. So at that point, their idea was to fucking burn the body and never speak of it again, lah. It sounds like a TV show, but seems like that's what happened, lah. And
I think also I think in your timeline, which was very comprehensive already, there's actually one or two things that I want to add that actually add a lot of detail to the case, lah. Was that they say they discover her dead by 6 a.m. At 7:20 to around 8 something a.m. they brought her mobile phone to East Coast Park so that it would register that she supposedly was at East Coast Park in the morning, lah. And after that, I think they disposed of the mobile phone. It was never recovered, lah. Then only, let's say 12 hours after that, in the evening, they went to hardware stores around Singapore to buy tools to help them for the disposal of the body. That's the detail that's what the newspapers have reported. But you try and imagine a corpse that has been lingering around for 12 hours already. I mean, you know what rigor mortis is, right?
Yeah.
You've read about it and all that. Yeah, rigor mortis probably has set in by then. And the fact they needed to go to a hardware store to buy tools kind of tells you that, trigger warning here, this is very graphic, that they might have had to chop up the body in order to fit it into a box, right? So Yeah, man. I think the extent to which these two guys went to try and cover up something because they were afraid of getting charged for drugs or drug consumption. I don't know, man. That's where there's some chatter online as well, right? That it seems almost too calculated to have just been two guys reacting out of fear, right?
Yeah.
To fear of getting caught. That they would go to the extent of chopping up a friend's body, rather than finding help for the friend, medical help. They will go to the extent of, planning, bringing the mobile phone here, buying hardware tools, chopping at the body, putting it in a box, bringing it, carrying it down, I don't know, 11 flights of stairs or something, and then hailing a taxi, putting in a taxi, asking the taxi driver to go to Punggol Track 24 in the middle of the night, and then digging a hole big enough to put a box, and then burning it, and then throwing, and then still burying it after that, and then after that, keeping up the story for the next decade plus,
Yeah.
So just imagine like two people panicking about being caught for drugs, but being able to get calculate everything to the extent where they're able to keep this secret for over 10 years. It's kind of crazy.
But on the flip side, it also makes me think like, oh shit, like it's not as difficult as like in Singapore. I think you grow up with this mindset. Okay, if you do something as bad as a murder or disposing of a body, you will be found out. But I mean, eventually these people were found out, but it took so long, and it was almost like a serendipitous that okay. So I've read this. I can't find the source yet, but apparently he held on to the laptop and he passed it to a family member, and that's how it was traced.
He passed it to his father, yeah.
He passed it to his father, right?
But it sounds like but apparently the laptop has not been recovered, lah. So that's the big question mark of how they use the laptop to find out, yeah.
Yeah, so you read it also. There's a lot of questions, which I don't know will ever see the light of day. But it feels like it was almost human error that gave away the truth, lah. And I'm assuming in most crime stories, it's always human error. But it just feels like, oh shit, they dug a hole, like what you said, big enough for a body. They burned it, and I mean, since then, Punggol, there's probably a lot of construction happened, right? So who knows? Like that area, I think is still a park, right? It's still a park.
No. It's being developed into some
HDB.
flats already. I think. Yeah, I think at one point there was over the site there was a stable and some like a horse stable built over it, but it's since closed down about in 2017. I think 2017. Sorry, we're going by how you pronounce it. 2017. And since then, the area is being developed into flats. Yeah.
Shit, dude! I think I've been to that stable.
Yeah. I'm sure some people have memories of visiting that stable.
Holy crap! Yeah. So, and I mean that's where it just feels like he put up a front for 13 years. And he did give false information at one point. That's why I just feel like 26 months. I don't know, man. It sounds fucking little. And just reading the points that his defense attorney was putting across was, okay, he and his family underwent a terrible time of suffering after he was charged. The progress of investigations has been unsatisfactory and is likely to remain so for an indeterminate period, which means insufferable prejudice. And that Ahmad has instructed that he is not responsible for Teo's death, and that there's no contrary evidence. But it just feels like, first of all, like, wow, I don't know how lawyers can do their job when they are given a case like this to fight for a shorter sentence for someone who like pleaded guilty to disposing the body. But I mean, that's a profession, that's a whole separate thing. But it just feels like 26 months, taking into account the time he has already spent in remand. Wow, it just feels like, if I was the family or a friend, right, I'll be like, fuck this shit, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think one point that was in the Straits Times article that tells you the kind of turmoil that the family went through, right? I think they spent months searching for her, and like you said, she even went to JB to give out flyers and ask people about whether the mother saw whether anyone saw the daughter, right? Apparently, they subsequently received prank calls and false information, and online posts even speculated that she had run away and taken to drinking and was living with a man after failing an exam. Some people even said that, I saw her in my dream and things like that. And a little detail here that I think that any parent, maybe parents who've gone through loss like I have recently, you can understand is like in 2011, her mother began telling anyone who asked about her daughter that she had settled abroad, because she shared how she found comfort in imagining her daughter had married and moved to a different country. And she refused to move out of her flat because she was praying that Ms Teo would come home one day. So it's, yeah, you can imagine the turmoil that goes through her mind when, like, there was really no closure. She did not know what happened to her daughter. And all she could do was just cling on to the hope that her daughter found a happier life elsewhere. And for her, if whatever reason she had, was not coming home, was not speaking to family, was not contacting her friends anymore, lah, right? And then that's all that she could live with for the past 10 years and all, lah. And when people ask about her daughter, she wouldn't even address the issue of that she's a missing persons case and all that, lah. So it's just from parent, just understanding that sometimes you kind of just need to have these mental heuristics to help you get through life. If not, it's just you just be paralyzed in the current situation, paralyzed with wondering what happened to your daughter, what happened to your child, and all that. And you kind of need to even tell yourself stories to get past these kind of issues, lah. So it's I totally understand what you're saying. That it feels like it's so unfair that the family and all had to live with this for the past 15 years. And all he got was a rap on the wrist, lah, right? 26 months that he's already served in remand. But yeah, I think it's just the case that there's just not enough evidence anymore, lah, because what they've managed to do is to keep quiet about this story, keep it on the down low for so long. And that's why there's not enough evidence to really charge him for the murder of the girl, lah, right?
Yeah. I think what really got to me was when I read that same line that the family hasn't moved out of their flat in the hopes that, like, if she ever returns, she knows where to find them.
Yeah.
When I read that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, every day the family wakes up, like, there's probably never a day that they never think about this, like, and it's just so heartbreaking, man. So fucking heartbreaking.
Again, going back to my experience of losing a child, that's how it feels, lah. Basically, every day you will think of it for the rest of your life, every day, lah. So it's not something that I think that anyone can get past like that. And I mean, in some sense, maybe it's also a slight positive that there is some closure for the family now. But at the same time, hearing and understanding all the graphic details of how they dispose of the body and how they could keep it a secret for so long, that itself is a very fresh wound that I can imagine for them,
Yeah.
Especially in Chinese culture and all, there's a very big thing about the body being whole and being buried and properly cremated and everything, right? So this just sounds like a very undignified way to send off a body, lah. But one I guess going a bit into the CSI of it, lah, right? The whole laptop thing, right? I think that's a big part of the case that even I, after reading so much, still don't really understand fully, lah. How her missing laptop came to the forefront of circumstantial evidence in 2020, lah, right? So because I mean, everyone probably has used. If you use an iPhone, you understand there's this function called Find My iPhone, lah, right? Which allows you to track your Apple devices using another one of your Apple devices, lah. But in 2007, I don't think there was Find My iPhone yet, right?
Yeah.
I highly doubt it, because 2007 was I think that was the year of the launch of the iPhone, if I'm not wrong. So there definitely wasn't all these Find My iPhone services that that allows you to track all your iOS devices. And the fact that they now don't have the laptop, they never recover the laptop. So it kind of makes me wonder how they exactly found that the laptop had been accessed by, the accused Ahmad Daniel's dad, lah, right? And I mean, the speculation that I'm seeing online is that maybe the dad possibly took the laptop for servicing or something with the Apple Store or something like that. And maybe the police have somehow gotten wind of it through Apple itself. That Apple assisted the police in realizing that the serial number of that laptop actually came up after the disappearance of the person. So that's speculation that maybe is only that could have only come up like in recent years when there's a closer working relationship between like Apple and authorities and everything, such that when important details like serial number of a laptop actually comes up in their records, they can actually pull it up and give it to authorities to help them with their investigations.
And that also was something of debate, right, in the public eye between the privacy laws of a company like Apple and its users.
How much they can reveal to the authorities, right?
Because you can imagine at that point in time, they probably managed to trace the laptop that belonged to Ms Teo. They could trace the serial number. And I won't be surprised if hardware companies these days, they generally have a list of things belonging to missing persons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's totally plausible. And I don't know what happens when the owner is deceased, whether they still kick in or not. But yeah, it just feels, I mean, even reading it, I was like, wait, did the dad maybe use it and then it registered online or something? But then from 2007, how is he going to be using it? Because the OS is totally outdated, right? Unless
you can't update it. Yeah, you can't update it.
Unless you're just using it for very simple things, for very, very simple, I don't know, playing games or something. But yeah, man, it just feels, I don't know, man, it was so chilling reading this. Like from the time we decided to do this to the time of the podcast, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know it was this chilling.
Yeah. No, I think the laptop has been discarded already. Like it was, but I think in that period when he gave the laptop to his father and to the point it was discarded, at some point maybe the father brought it to a hardware dealer like Apple.
Unknowingly.
That means that's why I'm speculating that they did not know the origins of the laptop as well, Maybe they brought it there to get it checked, and then the record is in Apple or whatever stores list, right? But nobody thinks to comb through that record until all these years later,
And that's why maybe the CID
and all. Yeah.
Maybe the CID does have greater access than the police force, right? Because it was only when it got handed over to them, that's when they realized, oh shit, there's a new lead. But they never say what the new lead is.
Yeah. And all this is happening around this is all just, I think, last month only the subject of the Serial podcast, which in 2014, 2015, which basically launched the whole podcast wave, the second podcast wave in recent years, right? I think even that case also has been, I believe they've acquitted the guy who was found guilty, Adnan Syed, the subject of the case. They've acquitted him also because for reasons that they found that the gathering of the evidence, or there was just not enough evidence to really convict him of the crime. So the crazy thing is that the guy basically spent 20 years in prison. And after the Serial podcast, a lot of people were saying that, hey, there's a miscarriage of justice here. How come there's not enough evidence to really convict him as such, but it happened, and now they've reversed the decision and he's a free man now. But it just tells you that these a lot of things that you see being decided in courts. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes in terms of the police work, the discovery and all, and even the court case itself that years later you can actually revisit and realize, hey, there's certain things that were not done the right way, lah.
Yeah, man. Oh fuck! It's just chilling. It's just chilling. Chilling. And there's only going to be more news for this in the years coming forward, lah. Because I think there probably is going to be some new evidence that comes up.
Yeah. Or if they manage to catch
shit.
Yeah, if they manage to catch the other guy, person involved in this. But I mean, one thing I did want to ask you also was like, if you were 22 years old and in the shoes of either one of those guys, right? and you woke up. I mean, let's follow what they said supposedly happened. You woke up, you found your friend in a very bad medical condition. Not necessarily dead, but let's say just passed out or what already lah.
And due to drugs lah.
Due to drugs and all, like what would your reaction be? Because I'm asking only because remember back when we were in school in the US, and there was this, and you know, binge drinking is a huge problem on US colleges lah, right? But there's always this rule that if you call the authorities for help when someone has drank too much and passed out and drank too much and seems to be in a bad medical state lah, if you call them and ask for help, there is basically immunity for you as the person calling.
If you're an underage drinker, right?
Exactly. And they very specifically instituted this and spread the word about it through the residential advisors and you know, authorities, that basically if you're underage drinker, your friend was underage drinking and is now in medical trouble, please seek medical help for him straight away, and we will not make sure that you do not there's no legal implications for you for what you did as well lah. And I think that actually does help in you know, having people seek medical attention, even in cases like when of underage drinking and all that, right? So I don't know. Is that something that you would say would influence the way you react to the situation like these students found themselves in?
You mean like the lack of that rule when it comes to drugs, or hypothetically if that rule was in place?
No. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. What would you do in that situation? That they were,
of course,
22-year-olds and all that.
Of course, I would like to think that I would do the right thing. You know, like even if it means getting punished, getting jail time. If someone's dying, I would do the right thing. But honestly, I don't know, man. Like sometimes when you are panicking and anxious, you just do stupid shit. And it feels like in this case, not to say that you should condone the stupid shit, but it feels like in this case they did some stupid ass shit with disastrous consequences. And with almost each passing day after that, it became harder and harder to come clean, which is fucked up. But I mean, you asking me, I don't know, man. Like I would like to think I would have done that, but I don't know, man. I can't. I also can't say. Okay, I don't know whether I would burn a body, but I don't think. I don't. I also don't want to be so like morally infallible that I will confirm do the right thing. I don't know, man. I don't know how to answer that. Like,
for me, I don't think I would dare to do everything that they did. But not so much because I'm moral high ground or that I'm better than that. It's more because I don't think I can live with the fear of like being caught by police for 15 years or something lah. Like I'm one of those guys that like if I'm like I get super anxious if like if I do something and then oh shit will I get caught for it, like I'm talking about much milder things like jaywalking, that kind of thing lah, right?
You don't jaywalk?
No. I mean, of course, there probably have been instances that I might have lah, right? But I'm just saying that I'm just the kind of very kanchong time, always looking over my shoulder, like the authorities and all that. Maybe it's just my upbringing in Singapore or something. But I'm just saying that I don't think I will be able to live with that kind of that fear lah of getting caught lah for that many years. And I think one book that I read that I really felt that sense of that I understood what it felt like to live with that fear is Crime and Punishment lah, when you read something like that and it really encapsulates that feeling of like, oh, you did a crime and now you live with the paranoia and the fear of being caught lah. That's to me is like worse than probably having to go through whatever punishment that you get for actually committing the crime lah. Yeah.
I think for me it's because I don't think I'll be able to hide it lah. I would just be a different person after that. And all my friends would be like, Harish, what's so quiet? Hey,
you're not talking much.
You're not talking much. For like 15 years. I just won't talk much. I don't think I can, even if I'm hiding it on the outside, it will show.
Yeah.
Like something. And just like, oh my God, it just sounds so ridiculous that, and I mean, I mean, I'm also surprised that you mentioned jaywalking, because I jaywalk like hell. I jaywalk everywhere. I think I'm quite a good jaywalker also.
Yeah, but yeah lah, it's it's one of those things that like I think not trying to glorify whatever these guys did or what lah, but that itself is a story that I think a lot of people want to know about lah. Like, how do you live with this for that many years lah? Which is why I mentioned earlier about psychopathic tendencies. How do you live with that and like almost have a normal life and like have a job and still get married? Yeah, work at a big company and get married and have a family life and all that. It's just I don't know how people do that lah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Whew, that was heavy stuff.
But yeah, speaking of I guess speaking of I don't know how people do that. The next thing that we're talking about is also I mean kind of it's also quite a big shock to the people to whom this thing happened lah, right? But it's probably more I mean it's about a lot. It's a goofy topic, so it's not as dark a topic lah, but it's still a bit strange that this happened. And what is this strange event?
So just now you said it's hard to believe that this happened. You're talking about the seller or the buyer? Because
both ways.
In this case, yeah, like just go 180 into something so goofy. There was an issue this last Wednesday where a bunch of people showed up at Esplanade at the newly opened Singtel Waterfront Theatre. They showed up for a show at 6:11 p.m.
Yeah.
And found out that the show doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That there's no show.
There's no show.
And they had tickets. It was called The Final Countdown by Esplanade Theatres on the Bay. Wednesday, 12 October 2022, 6:11 p.m. Free seating, blah, blah. It looks like a Esplanade ticket.
Yeah. So it looks like a legit ticket, like a stick ticket with barcodes and everything, like, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently, this bunch of people, they bought the tickets on Carousell. And
no,
apparently
I think the ones that it's on sale on Carousell, but a lot of those who turned up actually received the tickets for free, I think, if I'm not wrong. They got it as gifts or they took it from somebody.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So some of them bought it from Carousell. And they bought it for like $50 and all. Like even there's a picture of the Carousell entry, the Final Countdown by Esplanade. So apparently there were elderly people who were queuing there. There was a pregnant lady. And after some digging was done, apparently these tickets were given out by Singtel Waterfront Theatres trial and orientation program, which took place in September for guests. So basically before they opened the actual theatre, they had like this mock event where they gave out mock tickets.
Yeah.
Right. So then someone took those tickets, someone internal took those tickets, I don't know, gave it out. Maybe decided to give it to friends as a practical joke. Then one of them decided to sell it on Carousell. And then people fucking bought it.
Yeah, and people turned up for the event. That's the crazy thing. What struck me was like, wait, you don't even know what this event is. All you know is that it's at Esplanade and is at 6:11 p.m. But you have no clue about who's performing or what the show is about, and you're just going to turn up and imagine you sit down for an hour and a half or 2 hours and watch something. That's the part I don't understand.
Yeah, which makes me think like, oh fuck, remember when we did our live show at the start of the year? And when we got on after Kumar, like we somehow asked someone in the audience, so wait, have you heard of Yalabat? He was like, no. So he came for Kumar and he got Yalabat. The thing is, based on what I found online, 12 October is actually Esplanade's anniversary date. So you can imagine someone inside when they were designing this as the mock ticket. They're like, let's have some fun, 12 October, create an event. I mean, if you're doing a mock ticket, like if you want to use mock money, you have to put specimen and all this shit, right?
Yeah.
This is a bunch of very realistic tickets. And it's such a funny story. But my question also, like, you mean there are people out there who buy tickets? I think one of the people interviewed said he thought it was a comedy show or something, the Final Countdown.
Yeah.
But the fuck?
I think it's a point like, I mean, maybe we laugh about it because we understand how these things work, and buying anything off Carousell is always a gamble, right? But for us, we know if you buy tickets, you kind of need to. There's a lot more to it than just like going on Carousell and buying a ticket lah. But there might be a demographic of older people and all who, for them, even like going to watch something at Esplanade, usually they're priced out of it. Like watching a comedy show, like or watching any kind of show, it's $60, $70, $80. So the chance to even just watch any show in Esplanade for like, I don't know, $20 to $50, that sounds like a steal to them. And maybe they don't have a chance to do a lot of research and all, but if the ticket looks legitimate and you literally have the physical copy of it and all, why not just try that? Anyway, there's not much else to do in the evening and all. So it could just be a fun night out regardless of what the show is. So maybe for those people, that's how we say they got scammed and all that. But maybe for them it's just there's no harm in just showing up, right? And I don't think I wouldn't go to any extent saying that they're naive or stupid or what, but it's just it's just unfortunate that they what they got was a fake ticket and there was really nothing going on that day.
But I was just surprised, like, I mean, if you're spending not a super small amount of money, right? It's not like a $2 ticket. If you are spending, wouldn't you kind of just Google the event to know what it's about? Or is it just that, like what you said, it is a chance to watch an Esplanade show for a relatively low price. So why not?
Yeah, and it's Esplanade. It's it's a institution, so you would imagine anything printed on the Esplanade with the Esplanade letterhead and all that on the ticket, it should be legit, right? So maybe that was their thinking behind it, right?
And then Carousell also, their response was that it didn't infringe in the guidelines.
True, yeah.
So they say as a seller, you can pretty much sell anything you want as long as it doesn't infringe on the guidelines, lah. So that was their response. That was their response.
It literally was a ticket to something called the Final Countdown. If there wasn't a show, it's not exactly the seller's fault that there isn't a show, right?
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah,
but it kind of makes that doesn't it make it possible for people to print fake tickets for, let's say, BTS in Singapore kind of thing, and then put it on Carousell, and you're selling fake tickets, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how Carousell would deal with that, but I think it's one of those things that it has to be dealt with, because I think it was earlier this year in the Champions League final when there were 40,000 fans who appeared with fake tickets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it caused massive riots. And two of my friends who I met recently at another friend's wedding were involved there, and they said it was fucking traumatic. Like they got tear gassed.
Involved meaning they were part of the ones who bought the fake tickets.
No, they were not, but because the kind of like riots broke out, right? So the police were apparently just firing tear gas randomly, and both of them kena tear gas for the Champions League final. So of course, this Esplanade Final Countdown, I don't think there's going to be protests or riots
or tear gas.
but you never know if it's fucking BTS or Justin Bieber or something like that in Singapore. You never know, man.
Or the World Cup, the World Cup coming up, right? Like,
the World Cup.
It's going to be quite scary. But yeah, actually, you're right. I think Carousell is kind of like washing their hands off this issue.
Yeah.
But the fact is that people are selling tickets to a non-existent event. And when it comes to, isn't that part of the promise of what you're selling as well? That there's an event behind it? So essentially, you're selling tickets to something that doesn't exist. And I think... that's where maybe Carousell needs to... it doesn't infringe the guidelines, but then maybe they need to amend their guidelines to reflect this as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure it's going to be something in the cards, because now when we're talking about fake everything, like deep fakes, fake voices, fake images, there are new companies starting up every day that can take create artificial voices, artificial content. It has to be something that's on the radar of tech companies, confirm.
Yeah. No, yeah, and we say has in the sense of I think they need to take more responsibility, And if they don't do it, I think they need to be regulated into taking more responsibility for situations like this. Because it is their platform that has made this transaction happen, right? Let's say maybe even the people who got the ticket free. Let's say they went on Carousell and then they saw like, oh, other people are selling the ticket for like $50 or something, even if nobody bought the ticket, right? The fact that they saw the ticket on sale on Carousell kind of validates that, oh, there is this live event that people are selling the ticket for already, right? So your platform becomes almost a purveyor of fake news, right? Because your platform is validating a fake event. So for them to just say, oh, it doesn't infringe on our guidelines is kind of, I think that's absolving themselves of responsibility when actually, I think they can use technology to do this, all right? Like, I think there can easily be something in the terms and conditions, or even they have to be able to identify a link to the or link to the event or something like that, some digital presence of the event, such that you validate that it's a real life happening event, right? Yeah. So again, Carousell, I think don't uphold that. I think everyone jokes about Carousell, where there's a lot of scams, there's a lot of bad faith sellers and all that. Don't fan those flames by washing your hands clean of this rather unfortunate thing that has happened.
Yeah, because if you were to sell fake garments and all that, does that infringe? Does it infringe?
It should, yeah. You should. Selling fake products does, right? Yeah.
And if you portray it as like a real thing, I guess because a fake event is something that when you sell, the event hasn't happened yet. So there's all likelihood that it could actually happen.
Possibly.
Fucking hell. So I think event tickets.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, especially now. People are starved of live shows and live events, right? In the past 2 years, so maybe there's an opportunity for people to turn up for something at Esplanade. They'll just take it, and then there are sellers on Carousell who are trying to take advantage of that as well, which is a horrible thing to do. Don't do that, Don't be that guy on Carousell. It's a bit like masks are in short supply now, so I'm going to jack up the prices of masks and sell them for $15 a piece back in the day. It's just horrible behavior. Yeah. But Carousell, do better.
Do better. Do better.
But
cool.
So, speaking of do better, can we talk about the one Shiok comment that maybe has made you think a bit more about things or what in the last couple of days?
Okay. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, actually, we've been spending a lot more time uploading video snippets and this podcast itself on YouTube. And there are people who comment on YouTube. And the most recent comment we had was about the SQ stewardess issue. We talked about the SQ stewardesses being allowed to remain in the company even if they're pregnant and even beyond their birth and all that. So Evana on YouTube said that, but I don't really see anything wrong with SQ's with the Singapore girl uniform and all that. They say that is the job, right? And it's a prerequisite of the job for obvious reasons, and it's quite well established. So if anyone wanted to do the job, wearing the kabaya and all that is and keeping within the KPIs of your BMI and all, these are things that you ultimately have to deal with. And the job of a air stewardess or air flight attendant was never a forever job to begin with. So interesting perspective. Although I don't necessarily agree with what they're saying there, because I think like we mentioned on our podcast that being a flight attendant can and should be a career choice for people, right? That is not entirely dependent on whether you are young, single, slim, or have a family and all that. Which I think those are very that's where your work starts to cross the line to your personal life, really, and maybe as time goes by, we kind of need to amend our policies towards that. But yeah, I think it's still an interesting perspective. It made me realize that not a lot of people still want that particular image of the Singapore girl, the SQ flight attendant. They want to maintain that in perpetuity. Yeah. So it's not just our view is not representative of every Singaporean's view either, lah.
I see. Wow, that's cool. I haven't been checking out the YouTube comments, man.
There are some comments coming in. It's quite interesting. Yeah.
So I mean, admittedly, like I haven't found a comment on Reddit that really called out to me. So I'm just going to give a shout out to the fact that we passed 2,000 Redditors. And I mean, we do have a lot of plans on how else to grow this podcast, which we will kind of keep you guys posted when the time arises, lah. But yeah, it's just cool to know that it's another milestone checked. Because I remember in YouTube days, we used to send each other and our team messages each time we hit a new 1,000 subscribers, lah. Right, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Every new 1,000 we used to do. Yeah, so shout out to that.
Shout out to that.
Cool.
And yes, what is your one Shiok thing?
The one Shiok thing, I think we talked about it briefly in another episode, but I think it's going to officially be my one Shiok thing, is the fact that Casey Neistat is now putting out videos relatively regularly, like a couple a week. And honestly, watching it just makes me so fucking happy. Aside from just the artistic skill, it's just, I don't know, I really enjoyed when he was vlogging his life in New York. And then now he's back, and just the way he tells the stories and the way he brings you in, it just makes me feel like, oh, this is the magic of YouTube, which I haven't felt for a while. And it's just awesome to watch. If you haven't watched Casey Neistat's videos before, please just go watch. Click on anyone, and I'm sure you'll be entertained.
Yeah, I think the exciting thing is he's moved back to New York, right?
He's moved back to New York, correct.
He's moved back to New York. He's done a couple of videos where he explains why he moved back and what he loves about New York. And yeah, those really put a smile on my face again, because that was the joy of YouTube, 5-6 years ago, when vlogging was at its peak and all. And then just seeing him live his life in New York City and being very open about his struggles and his family and all that. But in a very cinematic and interesting way. Yeah. It's just interesting. I think even one of his videos, spoiler alert, he makes a video about how getting around New York City, is there's a lot of options. You can walk, you can run, you can take your boosted board. But when you have 2 kids, when you're towing 2 kids behind you, it's impossible. So he actually, bought an e-bike that allows him to sit his 2 kids in the back, which was something I thought was freaking cool. And I was even looking to it at one point, to buy an e-bike so I can bring my kid on rides around Singapore. But in Singapore, we don't have a lot of e-bikes or a lot of biking lanes, or in general, traffic here is a lot worse. It's harder to navigate with a bicycle. So I was like, there's such a, you can only dream of that kind of lifestyle. Then I watched the video and I see Casey Neistat living that, and I'm like, wow, fuck, this guy really, he's the man. He's living the dream.
I have a feeling that at some point I'll reach the same point that I reached when I first started watching his daily vlogs religiously. Was like, wow, I'm watching this guy have his awesome life. Why not I just try and make my life awesome also? And that was when I stopped watching Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
But then now it's still awesome, watching him, and his storytelling skills is just bar none, man.
Yeah, Harish is not lying when he said he really wanted to emulate that life. He didn't get a booster board, but he had a penny board that he carried around. Then you did that thing where you sandpapered your sunglasses, right? To make
No. I didn't sandpaper. So the skateboard thing, I will say that there was a certain element of it's a cool way to get around Casey Neistat. It's cool, but there was a functional purpose. So just to clarify, I wasn't just jumping on a fucking trend. But the sunglasses was liquid paper and not sandpaper.
Okay. So liquid paper. Because Casey Neistat has this thing where he always wears sunglasses in his videos, and he loves to trash. He literally colors them with color marker and all that to make them a different color, right? Yeah. So you did that. I remember you did that very proudly as well. And
I did that.
The fan service was to the max.
Casey Neistat, man. My man crush. My man crush.
Cool,
what about you, man? What about
you? I think we got a very good recommendation from a friend recently about a podcast called The Rest is Politics, which is it's a UK podcast by 2 men who've, I'm quoting here, 2 men who've been at the heart of the political world. Former Downing Street Director of Communications and Strategy, Alastair Campbell, and Cabinet Minister Rory Stewart. They do this podcast called The Rest is Politics that lifts the lid on the secrets of Westminster, offering an insider's view on politics at home and abroad while bringing back the lost art of disagreeing agreeably. So if that disagreeing agreeably sounds familiar to you, that's the premise of Yalla Butler, right? Essentially. But I think so. I gave this podcast a listen. I actually quite enjoyed it. I listened to 2 episodes, and it just so happened that the second episode I listened to, there was a good segment where they talked about politics in Singapore, because they were comparing. There's a lot of drama going on in UK politics right now with the new Prime Minister Liz Truss and her Chancellor and all that. And apparently, according to them, Liz Truss is very big, very bullish about Singapore politics, about how politics is done in Singapore. So they were explaining like how, the Singaporean style of politics would never work in the UK, and they were giving the reasons why. And they even, they have inside access. So they I think they mentioned that they've met our health minister, and and it's a very different take from how things are in the UK lah. So yeah, it's I enjoyed a couple episodes because the only thing I know about UK politics are from watching Netflix The Crown and from reading gossip about the royal family. So it's quite interesting that now there's this podcast where they really go in depth into what's happening on the ground in UK politics, which is a very different thing from American politics. So it's for those interested, do check out this podcast. It's called The Rest is Politics. Yeah.
So it's our British counterparts, right?
Yeah, but they have a bit more access than we do, lah. Yeah. These guys actually worked in government or in I think ex-journalists or something, if I'm not wrong. One of them is. So they have a bit more insight and into the actual going ons behind the scenes. Ours is a lot of like we read whatever is in the news, and we we go to the depths of the internet and try and find all these things lah. Yeah.
So what do you say? Their tagline is to disagree agreeably.
Agreeably. Yeah, that's right.
Ours is yalla butt.
Yeah. So
yalla butt.
Interesting take lah on things. Do check it out if you're interested in politics. Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right.
That was a early week podcast, and I guess we'll talk to you all very, very soon.
Yeah.